Here we have the FSM of BCEC, otherwise known as the Fractal Systems Mimetic Meta-Model of Biocultural Evolutionary Creativity. Here's a meta-model metaphor for the whole thing. It looks like a pinball. That's me, Velikovsky of Newcastle, walking along, singing a song, singing a fractal song. It's upside down, Miss Jane. So that's me, Velikovsky of Newcastle from Syrup. And spoiler alerts, this is the structure of the meme, the unit of culture. Now, if Popper, Kuhn and Kant all say observation is theory-laden, then I wonder if, after you've seen this, you too will start seeing holes and parts everywhere. Good old HOLON partons, holes and parts at the same time. We'll see. So here we go. The structure of the meme, the unit of culture. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen 2001 A Space Odyssey, there's the monolith. The end of Dave Bowman's bed. There it is again. Looks like a meme, a unit of culture. Let's have a closer look. Look at it sideways. Looks a bit like a unit, a meme, a HOLON parton. Now, what do I mean by fractals? Have a look at the fractals in the Stargate sequence of 2001. See the fractals? Look at them go. HOLON partons are fractal, by the way. What do I mean by fractals? Let's have a look at one of my favourite mathematical beasts, the Mandelbrot set. It too is fractal. There it is, the old fractal Buddha, all fat and warty, and he's only 40. Mandelbrot set was only discovered in 1980, 40 years ago. Here we go, zooming in on smaller scales. Look out. Excuse you. Look at all the fractals. Self-similar on smaller scales. We're zooming in smaller and smaller here. Just like the great philosopher Billy Joel never said, it's all about scale. So we're zooming in smaller and smaller scales. But now and then we see parts that are holes. Self-similar on smaller scales. Ooh, look out. Now, does that look like the Stargate sequence from 2001 or what? Now, what I want to know is, how did Uncle Stanley Kubrick and Uncle Arthur Clarke know about this in 1968 when the Mandelbrot set was only discovered in 1980? And oh, there goes another one, another Mandelbrot set. See that? A hole and a part at the same time, because this is all parts of the whole Mandelbrot set. Zooming in smaller. Look at that. That is so 2001. Anyway, that's me. Thank you and good night. You want me to keep talking? Okay, so in 2016 my PhD came out. In the appendix is this book chapter, which has the HOLON parton structure of the meme, the unit of culture, and narrame unit of story in it. It's been reprinted many times, that chapter. A bit of a viral meme. Self-replicating in encyclopedias, AI books, and whatnot. And last month in the Encyclopedia of Creativity. All this is linked on the Storyality PhD blog, if you like that kind of thing, including my PhD as a PDF. Free. Free is always good. So what is this? What's he got here? The HOLON parton structure of the meme, the unit of culture. That looks a bit like Australia in the middle, but it's actually a bi-directional arrow. Makes me want to do Uncle Chop Chop. Now what do we got here? These are the 3 laws of HOLON partons. Ready? All units on all levels integrate upwards into the larger unit above, of which they are a part. The units on the same level all compete, cooperate, and do co-opetition sideways against the other units on the same level, and they command and control downwards the smaller units that are parts of them on the levels below. That's it. There's your good old 3 laws of HOLON partons. Now, what is the difference, though, between hierarchies on the right and holarchy partarchies on the left? Well, they're slightly different things. It's all about scale, as Billy Joel never said. Excuse me. Let's look closer. So on the left, you have self-similarity on smaller scales, and they're nested inside each other like Russian dolls. On the right, they're all the same size, these units. So that could be an army squad at the top, or it could be people in a company down the bottom right. But they're all the same size. They're all people-sized. Whereas on the left, you've got smaller and smaller and bigger things nested inside or outside. So while they both have power, the difference is in scale. So if you took a photo on the top right of a company, you'd have the CEO, managers and workers all the same size. And then on the bottom right, you've got your power structures. But they're all the same scale, all those people. There's only 19 workers in a company of 55 people there. I think they're a bit top-heavy. They might have to downsize a bit. Anyway, the CEO has power that extends through the whole thing, the hierarchy, because he can hire and fire anyone he wants below him in the power structure. But they're all people-sized. So, whereas on your left, they're actually much smaller or larger because they're inside or outside them, each other. So your big difference is between hierarchies and holarchy partarchies. They're both about power, but the difference is in scale. Sometimes they overlap. You can have both happening at the same time across units and groups of units. Excuse you. So let's have a look at what that would look like. So this is another diagram from the Encyclopedia of Creativity. It's out of focus, so I don't infringe my own copyright. Down the bottom right, you've got atoms, and atoms are whole atoms, but they're also parts of people in the middle. And people are whole people, but they're also parts of a universe above that. And above that, you've got metaverses. So all these things are algorithms and systems, and HOLON partons governed by the 3 laws of HOLON partons. So this one we see where hierarchies and holarchies overlap when you go from a person on the left up to the family, local community, city, state, country, continent, planet, star system. So you can have overlapping where a hierarchy of power overlaps with a holarchy partarchy, but they're not really the same thing. Important distinction to make. There we go. The HOLON parton structure of the meme, the unit of bioculture. You've got your synthesis up top, and you've got your analysis down the bottom, where the parts are pulled out, and we're having a good hard look at each one of them on the different scales. But when you look at it from the top, it's just one big blob with little blobs inside it. But they're both memes. It's both the same thing, just different views. And memes are the little units inside this beast of a thing. The old I goes to P goes to I repeat formula, or Popper's Worlds 3, 2 and 1. So memes are the units that bounce around like little pinballs inside this machine on the right, or this system on the right, if you prefer. And what are memes? They're units of bioculture, ideas, processes, and products. So they can be ideas, and they can go across through a process and become a product in the external world. So you've got your internal world on the left, your external on the right. Now let's have a look at 2 memes. They're just ideas at the moment. But one of them is going, oh, it's jumped across through a process of mental thought and physical hard work and become a product. Now there's another one up top. It's an idea, it's a meme, it's going to go across from an idea through a process to become a product in the external world. Look at that. Or you can go back the other way. So a product goes through a process of reverse engineering and becomes an idea. There goes another one. Look at that. This happens a lot, all the time, bouncing around. This is a more complex model of the same situation. Ideas, processes, products. Got your ideas, a little gear wheel, goes through someone's mind and becomes a product. And vice versa, products go back through processes to ideas. Repeat, bouncing around like pinballs. Anyway, more on the Storyality PhD blog. I could finish here. That would be the whole thing. No, that's just a part. Let's keep going. So back to this chapter. Creative Technologies for Multidisciplinary Applications was the book that the chapter was published in, the appendix of the PhD. That's also on the blog, post number 132. If you like to read that chapter, it's a bit longer. I like it for that reason. The others are a little bit unduly compressed, but I'll write a book and see how that goes. Now, so the chapter's been reprinted, as I say, several times, and we've landed in the Encyclopedia of Creativity. Let's see how further it spreads. In terms of communication, Velikovsky of Newcastle, that's me, is saying the structure of the meme is the HOLON parton. What channels am I using to communicate that? Well, it's a YouTube channel, but also audio, visual, PowerPoints, animation. I like lots of communication channels because you never know which one, or maybe they'll all get through. To who? I'm saying it to you. And the effect, well, let's see if it's true. Let's see if you like it. The old universal algorithm for all creativity in biology or culture is combine two old things to get a new thing, and it works. You can do that with a question mark and the exclamation mark. In the 60s they did this. It's called the interrobang, or the bang. I like it. I use it a lot. So HOLON partons apply to systems. What's a system? It's a black box with inputs and outputs in an environment. That's it. And they're made of matter, energy, and information. So memes or units of culture are HOLON partons within systems of systems of systems. And that's the three laws. It's all pretty simple, really. I think we've got a handle on that. So looking a little bit closelier, we've got these three chapters, Encyclopedia of Creativity, that one and that one. Back to the creativity one. Here we go with our pinball meta-model metaphor. Good old pinball machine there. Just a visual metaphor, or 3D metaphor. If you read this book, it's a great book, The Tangled Bank by Stanley Hyman. He talks about four writers and the metaphors they used. So I'm going to use a pinball machine. And in this chapter, there is this meta model of creativity. And it also pops up in this article in 2017 in iJacked. So this is roughly the model, the meta model. The domain, person, field, and MIGI, or memory, imagination, judgment, interaction model. So we can look a bit closer at that. You've got your domain in culture, and it could be any domain. It could be acting, it could be writing, it could be novels, movies, science, biology, dance, food. And you've got your canon, which is white in there, and your archive, which is grey. So you've got your living and your extinct. Down the bottom you've got your person and your field. The field is made up of persons, and they're groups of gatekeepers who select or reject things for the domain. And then over there you've got your person who has a memory, imagination, judgment system inside their mind, or brain if you will. And we have these units that come from the domain into the mind of a person. Some of them stick in the memory, they go into the imagination if you'd like to combine two old ideas, then we judge it, and if it's worth showing to the outside world or the field, then your gatekeepers, critics and audience and general public has a good hard look at it and decides if they like it and they want to accept it and select it for the domain, either canon or archive. Unfortunately, about 99% goes to archive or extinct or forgotten or ignored. But it's a bit of a rough game. Anyway, that's enough of that 2D version of the model. Let's look at a bit more 3D version of the model as another metaphor. Now, I've got 3 books up there representing the domain in culture, whether it's the domain of science or the arts, social science, or anything in between. So you've got your domain, and let's say that's 3 books or Sumerian clay tablets. As long as it's recorded in external culture as e-memes, external memes, not inside a mind. So you've got your domain there of 3 big books, let's say. Down here, you've got your person in your field. The field's made up of these people. Those are all little guys. That's a bit sexist, but SketchUp only had a model of a guy in it. So, how's your biases? Anyway, whoa, there's a big Land of the Giants guy. What's going on in his mind while he's in the field? Well, let's have a closer look at him. What's he got on his mind, this person? He's going to select and vary and transmit some memes, I dare say. So in his mind, as I say, there's his big old forehead ticking away. In there he's got his memory, so he remembers units of culture, books, movies, songs, jokes, words, anything. And he can combine 2 of them or more of them in his imagination, judge it. Is this a good idea, process or product or not? And let's give a field a look at it. And it might go through them to the domain as either canon or living units or archive, which goes pretty much extinct or fossilized. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's zoom into this one. This one's a bit more extruded, a bit more of a 3D. Looks like 3 little Colosseums, Roman Colosseums to me. Or it could be a pinball machine interior, I suppose. Anyway, what have we got here? Looks like we've got your domain up top and your person in your field, and then you've got your little red balls or units of culture and your green ones. So the red ones are archive or extinct or forgotten or ignored or fossilized, and then you've got your canon, which is the white ones in there. And you've got some subdivisions, classic or viral or cult or critical acclaims, awards, popular. And those units can bounce around in those different categories, and one of them might bounce down into a person's head if he watches a movie or reads a book or listens to a conversation, and that can go in his memory. He might combine 2 or more ideas in his or her imagination, send it through to the old judgment system, and if you're lucky, might exit the Colosseum alive and go over to the bigger field in the exterior world. And we've got those different groups in there which do their own judging, selecting, varying and transmitting. If you're lucky, it goes through and becomes canon in one of those categories, or else goes to archive. So that's a bit more of a 3D model of that. What do we got here? A couple of table legs. No. Let's have a bit of a closer look here. I think I know what that is. That looks like a picture of a HOLON parton structure of a meme, a unit of culture or bioculture. That is what that is, and that's a bit of a unit of culture in itself. Just that little picture, that little diagram or symbol, as it were. Not all communication is via words and language. Sometimes you use visual symbols. What do we got here? A one-eyed robot? No, I think we go... Yes, there you go. It is a pinball machine. There we go. Let's zoom out for a wider view. Scale, see? Now we see the whole picture. That indeed is a pinball machine. What do we got on the side here? Another HOLON parton diagram. Hey, who's this handsome devil up here, eh? What's that all about? Looks like he's just stuck this over an old Terminator 2 Judgment Day pinball machine, if you ask me. Now, what's judgment got to do with anything? Well, I suppose the field judges things, and I suppose in his mind there's people with judgment systems for memes. Yes, I sort of see the connection there. Anyway, so zooming back out, what have we got? We've got a pinball machine with lots of little units, little balls, pinballs if you will, units of culture, good ones and bad ones, as judged by the field. Canon or archive. Bit of a multi-ball special here, this pinball. And what's happening in this Colosseum here down with the person? We've got his memory or her memory. We've got their imagination. And we've got their judgment. And they might want to combine two of those little memes or units of culture and send them through to the field and see if anyone likes it. Run it up the flagpole, see if anyone likes it. Zooming back in. Yeah, definitely a pinball machine. Yep, I'm getting that metaphor loud and clear. All right, now back into the mind of a person in the field. He's got two sort of units in his memory there. Look what he's done. He's combined them into one little unit in his imagination. Isn't that something? It's a bit like two parents combining to have a child, a single unit. Remarkable. It's going to go through to his judgment, I would say. And if it survives that Colosseum, if the Christians don't get thrown to the lions, I think it'll go through to the gatekeepers in the field, and they'll decide whether to select or reject it. The old selective retention mechanism. Now look, he's taking these two units over there in his imagination. He's making them a group. Now it's one unit. Look at that. See that? See that cube around the whole unit? Now it's one unit. It's gone from his imagination through to his judgment. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's sending it through to the gatekeeper. Will the goalie block it? No, the gatekeepers are thinking about it. They're looking at it. They're having a good hard look. Do they like it or not? Are we going to select or reject? Well, it's gone through to the critics. Well, now the critics have got a hold of it. It's bounced out to the general public. It's headed towards the domain. Oh, it's right. It's a line ball, ladies and gentlemen. It's right on the edge there. We're about to find out the moment of truth. Is it going to become canon or archive? And here we go. It's bounced off the wall and it's into archive. It's all over Red Rover. No, rejected. Another one for the books. Bit sad. Still, it's a brutal game. Yeah, there seems to be a few other good and bad ideas that have been combined and become archived there before too. That's interesting. Anyway, so there you go. There's your meta model of biocultural evolutionary creativity as a pinball machine. So, what about that? Interesting. What someone should do is take these balls and animate them so that you can really see the little pinballs moving around. I think that would make the metaphor a bit more, even more kind of understandable, shall we say. That'd be worth doing at some stage. You got your domain, person, your field interaction. Thank you, Mike Csikszentmihalyi. And we've got the meta model because we've also got the memory, imagination, judgment mini system inside. You see how that's fractal? You've got a smaller unit that's very similar, or almost identical, to the larger unit of the domain, person, field. You've got your memory, imagination, judgment. Very similar process, but on smaller scales. So it's fractal, really. So that's an interesting train of thought. There you go, the old meta model of creativity metaphor. Zooming in and out, zooming in on smaller scales or out to larger scales to analyse and synthesise both generally and in detail. So there you go. That's just one of the diagrams in that encyclopedia of the old meta model. But I still think someone, here comes a train of thought, I still think someone should take this model and maybe animate the balls so that we can see those little memes, those units of culture, those HOLON partons bouncing around a bit more. And then it'd probably become a bit clearer, really, this metaphor. Be easier to visualise or, you know, keep it real, as it were. Zooming around the Colosseums there. Yes, all very 3D. like the external world, probably. Now, wait a minute. Look what's going on here. Ah, see? He's done it. Look at that. There you go. We've got a unit, and it's gone. It's bouncing around the field. It's bounced off the wall. Is it going to go into Canon? No, it's hit the wall. It's gone to archive. Ah, well, they can't all be winners. Another one's coming through the gatekeepers, into the critics. The general public's having a good hard look at it, and they're voting with their wallets. Ah, it's archived. So, that's interesting. Now we've got a purple one. Maybe someone's watching a purple unit of culture. Maybe Purple Rain by Prince. Who knows? That's gone into his memory. Now, I wonder if he's going to combine that with another idea that he's got in there, in his imagination, and then judge it. Or, no, he's just sitting on that one. It's gone. He's forgotten. Oops. Now, look, we've got a few more ideas coming down from classics of the canon. Might be watching a lot of classic movies. There's another one. They're going in, but he's not remembering very well. They seem to disappear once they hit his memory. See that? They're gone. Needs to work on his memory. Anyway, needs to write things in notepads or something, maybe. I don't know. Quite a lot of units going into the memory there, as with most people. Maybe he's listening to songs. Maybe he's trying to internalise the domain of songwriting. Who knows? Or acting. Or writing. Or being a car mechanic, who knows? Engineering, science, technology, mathematics, could be anything really. He might be reading mathematical theories or scientific theories. He's getting a lot of theories in that memory, but he can't seem to hang on to them. That's the problem there. See that? They disappear in the memory. So that's a bit of a shame. He's using all these good ideas. I mean, he's absorbing and internalising a lot of the information in that domain. Look at these units, these memes, these HOLON partons, ideas, processes or products, all coming through. They're all classics. He's a serious student, this one, but he seems to, maybe he's got a bit of Alzheimer's, I'm not sure. He's doing a lot. It's quick now. Either time has sped up or he's getting serious. No, we slowed down again. Okay. Well, I just wish he'd remember it a little bit better, because then, yeah. Anyway, there's your meta model and your domain pulled out. Yeah, like I say, in the Tangled Bank, I have a good old look at 4 writers and their metaphors. Have a closer look at Darwin's one. When he was thinking about how to explain this evolutionary idea, he started with the coral of life, and a few years later he moved on to the tree of life, but he ended up with the Tangled Bank, which is interesting when you read the last page of Origin of Species, 1859. Anyway, I've got 3 metaphors here for you. One of them's the old fractal monolith from 2001, self-similar on smaller scales, zooming in there. That's one. And we've got number 2, which is this domain person field interaction gigantic meta model. And then we've got number 3, the old pinball machine. And don't forget, the macro and the micro are pretty much identical. You have a domain person field interaction systems model of creativity, thanks to Mike Csikszentmihalyi. But on the micro, if we look at the person, you've got your memory, imagination, judgment, which is the same kind of system, same mechanism with the units. Anyway, there he is singing a song upside down. There he goes. There's his blog. Check it out. So yeah, there you go. The structure of the meme, the unit of culture, or the fractal systems mimetic meta model of biocultural evolutionary creativity. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.